Well, good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to the Sunday service for Unity on the North Shore. We're so excited to have each and every one of you all with us here today. We've got an amazing service for you all to share with you all. And of course, I'll start off with some prayer and then I'll introduce our lovely service team here today. So let's just begin by closing our eyes and just really getting into that space of gratitude for this amazing Sunday morning. Just getting in that space of just loving awareness and connection that we are here together to be in the spirit, with the spirit of the spirit, and in service of the spirit. And so we open our hearts and we open our minds and we open our core to just really connect today, really connect and feel the spirit living, moving and breathing through each and every one of us. We open ourselves up to listen, to hear, to feel and to receive and to give. And we are grateful for this community that we share together. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. So today we have our wonderful friend with us as our musician and vocalist, Miss Megon McDonough. Woo woo. Hey, Megan.
Hey, Christina, thank you.
So glad
Great
to
to
have
be
you with
here.
us today. And of course, the incredible Reverend Kirk Condra, who will be giving the message and meditation. Yay.
Yay!
And thank you to all the team that's with us here today, Martin and Clay and Denise and all the folks in the background you may or may not see who really make this magic happen. And of course, we have my friend, mentor, and just incredible spiritual being, Olga La Luz, who is our prayer chaplain today. So, hey,
Hi.
Olga.
Hi.
All right. So, with that, I guess I'll let Megan take it over and get us rocking and rolling.
Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. I'm always happy to be with my pals at Unity on the North Shore. We're going to start with Welcome to the Circle. We are welcoming all of you. Welcome to this circle where love and grace abound. We honor your journey and wherever you are bound, we will walk beside you, encourage you on your way, celebrate your spirit and hold you as we pray. There is love for one like you. There is grace enough to see you through. And wherever you have walked, whatever path you choose, may you know there is one like you. There is love for one like you. There is grace enough to see you through. And wherever you have walked, whatever path you choose, may you know there is love here for one like you. May you know there is love here for one like you. Welcome, welcome to
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Welcome to the circle to each and every one of you for just joining us. I'm Reverend Christina Garza, and I just want to welcome everyone who's here today. Thank you for being here. And I just want to also talk a little bit about unity here. So, for those of you who may be newcomers, unity is a positive, practical approach for spiritual living that's based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. And we believe there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition. And so we honor the many paths to God. And wherever you are on your journey, please know that you are welcome here. We welcome everyone here. Our mission and vision reflect who we are as a community and how we fulfill our spiritual purpose. So now I'm going to invite everyone to just speak our vision and mission statements out loud. You'll see them via the PowerPoint in just a second. And so we know that by conscious intention and the power of the spoken word, we activate the power of God to express in our lives and in our world. So join me in speaking our vision statement. If someone could share the PowerPoint so we can do that, please. The words will be on the screen. So if you could just speak the words with me, centered in spirit, we co-create
Create a
a
world
world that
that
works
works
for
for
all.
all.
And now our mission statement. We are an empowering, diverse, a spiritual community experiencing spirit within to create a peaceful and prosperous world. If this is your first Sunday, we want to extend a loving welcome to you. For many of us, upon discovering unity, when we found out that there was this spiritual community that thought and believed the same things as we did, it really just felt like coming home. So I hope that you're home here today. I hope that you will always know that whether you stay here, you're always welcome, you're always family. And we hope that your experience this morning is equally powerful and that you'll return again and again. I want to invite you all after the service. We have a virtual garden chat where we just say hello and then we also do sort of a mini formal talk through about a subject and share some good food. So I just want to invite everyone to that after this, and the link will be shared before we close. So, oh, well, not the link because I forgot we changed the format. So you'll just be opened up, the mics will open up, and everyone will be able to participate. So wonderful. So now I think I'm going to turn it over again to Megan for our group song.
Thank you, Reverend Christina. Um, okay, myself, yes. Okay. Um, Spirit had a little guidance for me on the music today. Certainly, and I wanted to do this song. It's one we all know. And at Unity, we replace the word wretch with soul when we sing Amazing Grace. We'll just do two verses. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to sing, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. And then first verse, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
Thank you, Megan. What a beautiful song. And so wonderful to be reminded about that grace that is always with us. So lovely to have you with us. So good morning, everybody. My name is Olga Laluz, and I am the prayer chaplain this morning. I'd like to begin by reflecting on today's daily word. And today's daily word is focused on love. So let's just relax and let my words be your words. I am a loving presence to everyone I meet. It has been said that the world needs more love. The truth is that all the love the world could ever need is already present everywhere because God is love and God is present everywhere. Created in God's image, I am divine love in human expression. I know that love is much more than a positive feeling. Divine love is the energy of oneness itself. As I remain centered in divine love, I know oneness in God with all people, including those who are dear to me and those I have never met. Divine love helps me see good everywhere and in everyone. I see beyond conflict and limitation and find the good that is always mine to discover. And from John chapter 4, verse 7, Beloved, let us love one another because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. As we continue to focus on prayer, I invite you to relax and let go and focus on your breath. If you feel comfortable to do so, close your eyes as we take a gentle, slow, deep breath in. And as we release the breath, we relax and release with it all our external thoughts and concerns. Take another breath in. And on the release, go into your heart space, that sacred space within where we can feel the presence of the divine. God is present in and around us and our loved ones, right here and right now. Let us rest in the silence for a moment, holding in prayer yourself and your loved ones, and also George Floyd and his family, and for all African Americans who are weary of the continued racism that exists in this country. As we rest in the silence and become more intensely present, we become aware of our thoughts, knowing that they are not our reality. We rest in the reality of Source within us. We release unhelpful mind activity so that we can hear the small, still voice within, directing us to what is ours to do during these turbulent times. With loving support from Holy Spirit, clarity of purpose and intention emerge to guide us on our path, a path that is strewn with love and determination. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. If you would like to request a personal prayer during the service, you can enter it in the chat box, and our prayer team will pray over it for 30 days, then forward it to Silent Unity at Unity headquarters, where it will be prayed for another 30 days. Please remember, though, that this will be a community prayer since we can all see what is written in the chat box. There will always be information on prayer support opportunities later on in the service. And now we return to our lovely Megan for more music.
Olga, thank you so much. That was beautiful. And yes, we send all love to our African American brothers and sisters, knowing that we are one and all is well. When tears or laughter come uncalled and spark a heart unknowingly stalled, in that instant when love's unwalled, God steps in and breaks my fall. God steps in and breaks my fall. When simply walking down the street, unfamiliar eyes will meet. I could see fear or something sweet. God steps in and moves my feet. God steps in and moves my feet. And maybe that's what faith is for. So wild and unexpected, right outside my door, alive and unprotected, 'cause it's faith. And maybe that's what faith is for. When darkness falls upon the earth and chokes us of our holy worth, our hearts will open the rebirth when God steps in and heals the hurt. God step in and heal the earth. Oh, maybe that's what faith is for. So wild and unexpected, right outside my door, alive and unprotected, 'cause it's faith. And maybe that's what faith is for.
Wow, Megan, thank you so much. So I just want everybody to know we are the first congregation on the planet to hear that song. When I called Megan earlier this week and we were talking about what my topic was going to be, and she said, Faith, well, I've been working on a song about that. This is just the motivation. I need to finish it. So she sent it to me, I think it was Thursday, and it's been on my headset. I've been listening to it over and over and over again. And I essentially decided I would build my whole talk around her lyrics, because I think they're that profound and that meaningful, and they speak to some of the elements of faith that I wanted to address today. This is the last in our series. Our May series was focused on fearless living, and I'm sort of drawing my inspiration from one of the essays that was written by Reverend Jim Rosemergy. He titled it, "If Faith is a Tool, What Does It Do?" And I think it resonated with me so much because, and if you've listened to me much before, you know how much I love continuums, you know? Like when we're talking about spiritual growth and development, there is always this pull toward evolution. So we situate ourselves on a continuum as we begin to adopt new and more powerful ways of expressing our spiritual beingness, our true divinity, right? So I love this idea of continuums. And that's exactly how he approaches this idea of faith in his writing. When he talks about it as tools, he talks about faith and sort of associates it with tools that you would use to build a house, right? There's a saw and a hammer, and they have specific purposes. And that in some ways, faith is the same way for us. And what he challenges us really to do, though, is to think beyond how our early adoption of applying faith to creating change in our lives might evolve and become something a little bit more purposeful, more beneficial for the planet. And if you think about your early journey in Unity, when you first started learning about these principles, where what we think and believe outpictures in our lives, and we are co-creators of our own experience. As you started moving through that, many of us were very quick to start applying affirmations, affirming what we wanted to see outpicture in our lives. We created vision boards for the prosperity that we wanted to see demonstrated, right? We were using faith as kind of our tool to bring about change in the outer world that we wanted to see expressed. And many of us had lots of success with that. We started to apply these principles and it really worked. And that got us excited about this unity path and this unity journal. There was a unity path and these unity teachings, because we began to see how spirituality could be practically applied to our personal lives. And if we wanted to, well, I'll read you how Rosemurgy sort of describes this phase. He says, we insist that faith's primary work is making things appear and disappear, right? We want disease to vanish, but we want a new job to appear. We want to manifest rain or a large house or someone to share our home as long as we both shall live. Are we magicians entertaining ourselves and others by making things appear and disappear, or is there another purpose? Is making things appear and disappear the primary work of faith? And I know that when I first read that, I was like, yeah, I get that. And also, I want to be sure that there's room for that, because I think in this evolution, we're constantly going back and forth between those different and deeper understandings. So there may be a time when really my focus is on what can this new good that I want to see created in the outer world, what can that look like, right? So many of our prayers might right now be focused on creating peace and equity and racial justice and surrounding and enfolding folks in love, but it's in a way that we're really sort of, our first priority is around having that happen in the outer world. And I think what Rosemurgy is calling us to is a reminder that that's certainly a practice that we can have, but there's a deeper dimension to that. And as we become aware of what's really going on, as we're affirming that kind of change in our world, then we become really more effective agents of that divine power and presence to be expressed more fully in the world, right? So hear me, I'm not saying that prayers for peace and really intending and sending light to Minneapolis and to the countries around the world where there's all this this really disparate energy expressing, right, where there are riots. And those prayers are wonderful and supportive. But if you go back to what we learned back in those early days of creating treasure maps about what we wanted, what's really happening in that experience is not so much about changing the outside or changing what God's willing to give us. It's about changing our own understanding of what's available to us, about recognizing that the abundance of the universe is here in ways that perhaps we were limiting our ability to experience those before. So it's the same now. We can be praying for love to be expressing and justice to be to unfold. We can be praying for that, but the deeper work is about moving to a space within ourselves where we recognize that we're the ones that bring it forth. We're the ones that express that love. And to be coming from that kind of a consciousness completely deepens that process of allowing it to come forth. And that's one of the reasons that I think the chorus of Megan's song is so incredibly beautiful. So Megan, I'm going to ask you to sing it again at the end of the talk, because we're going through each of the verses in the song, but would you just share with us the lyrics of the chorus and maybe a little bit about what you were thinking when those lyrics were revealed to you?
Right. Oh, I completely resonate and agree, Kurt, with the. It's almost like we've been apprentices, up till now. That when I first came to Unity and that manifestation, spot of like bibbity bobbity boo, wee, I can affirm and create. That was so exciting. But after a while, right, it's like eating too much candy. That feeling of there must be something more, there must be a deeper level. And yes, to go to that level within of I must become that which I want. I must become what I want. I must become the peace that I want to see in the world.
Yeah, and that
And
it's
so,
there. That's why I like the lyric is right outside the door. Share the lyric. Share the lyric.
right. So the lyric is, maybe that's what faith is for, so wild and unexpected, right outside my door, alive and unprotected. 'Cause it's faith. And maybe that's what faith is for. Every time I have, and the opening line of the song is, when tears or laughter come uncalled and spark a heart unknowingly stalled. Every time I laugh at something unexpectedly, or whenever tears come that I am not expecting. I could be at Trader Joe's and tears might come, a song might play, or a memory will, or I will see something. They have this, now they know that when you just witness an act of kindness, your serotonin goes up. So to watch someone hand money to a homeless person, all three people in that equation lift. Their vibration lifts. So when I see an injustice, when I watch a certain something, tears can't help but come. That to me is spirit. That's God. What comes up also is this faith in it is possible. Healing is possible. Love is possible. Joy is possible when it comes uncalled. It's in there. How can I access that when tears or laughter come uncalled and spark a heart unknowingly stalled? I don't know I'm pushing that down because I've got a life to get to. And I can't, that can't come up, but it's like holding a beach ball underwater with your pinky. It pops up at the most perfect time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's that capacity for faith, even if it's as small as a mustard seed, that allows that emergence, that opening of the heart where before we weren't even necessarily aware that we were being blocked. I love that first chorus just because of that, because it reminds me that that's a possibility no matter what's happening in my own experience, right? I have
Right.
this ability to be available to it, even when I'm not necessarily looking for it. It's allowed. That first lyric is, I think, or that first chorus, I think, is so rich and so beautiful. So thank you
Thank you.
for
Yeah.
sharing that a little bit more, because I wasn't, yeah, the depth of that and the availability of us to allow faith to move us into that space of being available, sometimes by surprise. We weren't expecting it, and bam, that's when it is sometimes most profound and most healing, right? That's when,
Yes, because the line after that is, uh, when tears or laughter come uncalled and spark a heart unknowingly stalled, and love it in that instant, love's unwalled. God steps in to break my fall. God steps in and goes, here's the gift, and God steps in to break my fall. It's just the line that came, and I thought that's kind of unusual, but of course, I I don't know when I'm on the precipice, but love is unwalled. It's okay to fall in. It's okay. You're safe. Love unwalled is the safest place you can be. It's vulnerable,
mm,
but
yeah.
necessary.
And we have to be at that space in order for it to happen, right? There has to be a receptivity to it,
Yes.
especially when we're unguarded or when we are guarded. Yeah,
Right.
beautiful.
Right.
Okay, so we've done the chorus, we've done the first verse. Second verse,
Second verse is
share those lyrics.
right. Simply walking down the street, unfamiliar eyes will meet. I could see fear or something sweet when God steps in to move my feet. Again, faith without works is dead. God put we've I need to put feet on my faith, you know, and I can either move toward. I would never move toward what was clearly dangerous. But to keep an open heart into, just because it's unfamiliar doesn't mean I should be afraid of it. It means here is something sweet. Here is, God indwells everything and everyone. And that's what namaste is, right? It's that the spirit in me salutes the spirit in you, the holy, the divine within me. The divine is within all, across the board. I could see fear or something sweet. That is my choice. God steps in to move my feet, either toward or away.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I love about that line, though, because it's not, in unity, sometimes we get to this place of, it's all love. And so we should embrace everybody. But I love the lyric, it's to step in and move your feet. There are times when it's dangerous and we don't move toward that, when we do need to be mindful of what's going on around us. What I heard in that was this beautiful capacity to be completely open and present to the situation. And then through faith, to trust that our feet will be guided to move in the direction that really is going to bring about the most love. And sometimes love is setting a boundary. Love isn't always embracing. Sometimes love is being present. So I love the way in which you described that wasn't the usual way that shows up in unity in New Thought songs. It's usually very kind of syrupy, sugary, but this provides for a broader kind of, I love
divine discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yep.
Right.
And that it's through faith that we discern and then allow that discernment to move our feet. That
right.
divine
And I think,
discernment, God, move our feet.
and maybe that's what faith is for, that divine discernment, to have faith in, I'm going to be guided here. But it's unexpected, to leave that space, leave the room for what is right here. Go within, so wild and maybe that's what faith is for, so wild and unexpected, right outside my door, alive and unprotected. That there isn't this, I'm Irish.
Either way, there isn't this holding back and there isn't rushing forward without having a greater sense of awareness about what's really happening in that situation. Because it's not always I'm going to rush in and it's not like hugging teddy bears you know what I mean? There's a syrupy piece.
It's not all puppies and rainbows. Exactly.
It's a continuum. Okay, that's verse 2. Last verse. This is the one that for me the deepest that I've really worked with the last couple of days.
When shadows fall upon the earth, or when darkness falls upon the earth, and this just hit me today, and chokes us of our holy worth. Hearts will open for the rebirth when God steps in to heal the hurt. God step in to heal the earth. Maybe that's what faith is for. To not in the darkest times, to maybe have a new idea of what faith is. That it isn't, everything will be all right. I have faith. I don't know. They say the opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is certainty. I'm not certain. That's what faith is for, is to take that uncertainty and go, here we go. I'm going to take you someplace, woo, you didn't see coming.
Yeah. Well, and that whole verse, because, this is a dark time. There's no getting around that. Oof. And it's not as though we've been marinating as a society and culture in this for literally centuries. And this lyric sort of suggests to me that it is a deeper kind of process. Healing is messy often.
Yes.
And this is messy too. And it feels to me like sometimes what I want to do, I want to ascend to Christ consciousness immediately. I want to be, and unity, I think, has a tendency to do this, right? We're going to we're going to be, this is both our strength and our weakness. We're going to come from that place of being centered in the divine and being the presence of love and beaming that out to the planet and helping to transform it, right? And there's value in that, coming from that place of centeredness. And if we wait until we're at that level, before we start showing up in the world and before we start supporting people who are needing support right now, who are needing love, and that level of perfection is too high a bar. We need to be able to walk through both of it, I need to be able to go there in my woundedness, in my anger, and in my frustration. Like, that's a part of what I'm bringing right now. And it needs to come out of, some prayerful discernment so that energy gets directed in a way that actually creates change and makes a pathway for love to express, rather than exacerbating and compounding the negative stuff that's already going on, right? So that's a delicate balance. And we can't wait until we can do it perfectly to be able to start making that change.
Now is the time.
I love the healing piece, the like the rebirth piece, and allowing the divine love to heal the hurt, and to know that there's a part of that healing is in recognizing, going back to that first principle of unity, recognizing our oneness, right? That there are so many, I just feel like in this situation, what has become is like, it's sort of a collective culmination. I was watching, Trevor Noah, I think, has a beautiful ability to speak to both sides of racial divide. Having grown up in mixed culture and outside of the US, he's able to see the US from a perspective and speak to it in a way that people really get. And as I was listening to him talk about sort of this as a domino effect, that what's happened in Minneapolis is actually completely predictable, given that COVID-19 has affected those who are most vulnerable in our society throughout this piece, and that it's sort of all a collective piece of it. And so many Black and brown and people of color know what it is to have that choking feeling, and knowing the injustice of prejudice, right? That's a collective experience. And for those of us who have been able to sort of be isolated from that, and even unaware of it, that's been the privilege that we've had, right? Because it hasn't been our experience.
Truly. We
can kind of ignore it and this is bringing it forward in a way that it can't be ignored anymore. Right? It's messy, but we all have it. We all suffer as it gets perpetuated. So that way to allow that kernel of faith to bring forth an awareness that I can't be separate from this any longer. That I too have a role to play wherever I am in this stew. I have a role to play to bring forth love, and however imperfectly I might bring that forward. It's what I'm called to. It's what we're called to, I believe, in this time. It's why we're here in this place at this time as a society. Oh my God, I wasn't really intending to quite go that deep into that aspect of it.
Beautiful.
But that's what as I've had that lyric playing in my head all weekend, it's like, yeah.
I'm completely honored. Thank you. And Kurt, sometimes I've often said, I just pushed the pen, and this was one of those. This is a song that I'll tell you, the title came to me several years ago. My friend Julie Gold, who wrote the song, the anthem, From a Distance, the world. And she's one of my dear friends, and I'm proud to say, and she is one of the most generous people I know. She created this little pocket of inspired writing for her friends in her songwriter friends, where they could come and spend an hour with her piano that she wrote From a Distance on. She lives in Manhattan. She lives in Greenwich Village. And so she says hello, you come up to her place, and there's the piano. It's called, it's a Knight piano, Knight. And she says, here's my magic Knight. And she goes up on the roof of her home, of her building, while you write a song. Uh, it's magical. And so I came up with this. Maybe that's what faith is for, and I couldn't get any further. And I said, Julie, thank you. I got a great idea, but it's not complete. And I used the years. And so I thought, wow. When you said your talk was on faith, I thought, okay, now's the time. And it was like a download, a lot of it. I had to go back and tweak a couple things, but then I got the message. Hands off.
Well, thank you. I'm so delighted that that
So
we were able
thank you.
to person to help to move through that with you was really an honor.
Yeah.
So just to sort of recap, the 3 points that I would make, given the 3 choruses that we had heard, is one, that to recognize that this living into faith is on a continuum, right? And we may start out, or we may even, maybe it's not even starting out, but there are points in our journey when we're going to be coming at faith from a place of really out giving voice to what we want to see in the outer world, right? And that's kind of our starting point. What we recognize as we go deeper into it is it's an inside job, that this really comes out of transforming my own beliefs, transforming my own in the environment we are now, whatever it is, rage, anger, frustration, self-righteousness or sense of righteous indignation, whatever that is, we start there and allow that to be the space that we move forward. It comes from within for the deepest kind of healing. And then the other is to be divinely guided, to recognize that it's through faith that we have the discernment to be able to let Spirit move our feet in the direction that is going to bring forth the greatest expression of love, whatever that looks like, but to be able to trust in the faith and the guidance we get. And then to recognize that, it's going to be a messy process. We're not going to perfectly embody faith and love and in every moment, right? It's going to be messy, and for us to be okay with that and still be able to bring forth what we're called to bring. So those are the 3 kind of takeaways that I'm suggesting that we that's what was evoked for me. What I'd like to do now is go ahead and Megan, have you sing the whole song again, and that'll be our intro into meditation. And then I would invite those of you who are listening to just allow the lyrics to wash over you, allow the energy of Megan decided this beautiful kind of creative momentum that happened at that piano, allow that to be a part of what you take in, and just see what Spirit has for you, evokes for you about your faith and about what your calling is in these really fraught times. So, Megan.
So, thank you. All right. When tears or laughter come uncalled, spark a heart unknowingly stalled. In that instant, love's unwalled. God steps in and breaks my fall. God steps in and breaks my fall. When simply walking down the street, unfamiliar eyes will meet, I could see fear or something sweet. God steps in and moves my feet. God steps in and moves my feet. And maybe that's what faith is for, so wild and unexpected, right outside my door, alive and unprotected, 'cause it's faith. And maybe that's what faith is for. When shadows fall upon the earth and choke us of our holy worth, our hearts will open steps in to heal the hurt. God, step in and heal the earth. And maybe that's what faith is for, so wild and unexpected, right outside my door, alive and unprotected, 'cause it's faith. And maybe that's what faith is for. That's what faith is for.
So this is our opportunity to move into a time of meditation and reflection. It's a time to just quiet mind and heart. There is so much that we're absorbing in terms of what's happening in the world. There's so much that we're absorbing in terms of the energies of having been cooped up for 3 months, that our hearts and minds are so full. So this is a moment when we can just be present to it without pushing it away or ignoring it. Just be present to it. And to know that deep within us, we have this incredible capacity for faith. It may feel small like a mustard seed, but to know that that's enough. That's enough for us to begin to move along this continuum of faith and to be able to express the divine more fully. That's enough for us to be able to discern which direction we ought to be moving to bring forth a greater expression of love and love's energy. And it's enough for us to be fearless in terms of knowing that we have all that's necessary to move into that space where we can be a presence. We can stand for peace and love right where we are at the very level of consciousness that we have. While it might be messy and it might raise questions within, as we simply allow Spirit to move within us, we can trust that we have all the faith that's needed to move forward in love. That the power of love might be the energy that motivates us. And so I invite you now to rest for a moment in the silence, assured that you have all the faith necessary to allow healing of your own hearts, and also to know that as we heal our own hearts, that that energy is actually expressed in the greater world. So let's rest for a moment in the quiet and let Spirit do its mighty healing work within each and every one of us in the silence. Very gently now, I would invite you to bring your attention back to the sounds around you. And to remember that this space that we've created, this space for healing, this space for guidance, is a collective space. Even though we're not in the same room, the energy that we are collectively experiencing has a power to reach beyond the walls in which we sit, and to know that that energy will carry us forward into the day and into our lives. So thank you, thank you, thank you, God, for this connection, for our awareness that truly we are one, and for the inspiration and the courage and the guidance to bring that oneness forth in all the world. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Maybe that's what faith is for. So wild and unexpected, right outside your door, alive and unprotected, 'cause it's faith, and maybe that's what faith is for.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you, Kurt. That was so beautiful and so necessary for us at this given time in our personal and collective histories. So, right now I want to talk with everyone a little bit about the practical application of faith. So, Reverend Kurt and Megan have talked about the idea of using our faith, like how can faith be a tool. So I'm going to give us some ideas how we can walk through the week and using that as a tool. I think we all obviously know and feel that this is a time of a deep, deep healing. And as Reverend Kurt said, it's messy and it's not fun at all, but it's so necessary. Our souls, humanity's soul, collectively humanity's soul is crying out for healing. And so we are in that space right now, and we just have to just hold it and feel it, as Rev Kurt said. And when I was here last time, did my sermon the last time, I was talking about my own process about listening, and I thought Reverend Kurt's talk was exactly in the same line about feeling, about really listening to where we're at. And it really all starts with that internal work about really being connected with yourself and your divine, and what your mind, body, and soul needs to be able to then create that healing that will then go out and manifest into the world. It was interesting. I had a conversation this week with a friend of mine, a white male friend, and we hadn't talked in a while and just said, "Hey, let's check in." And so he was talking to me about just really being so in hurt and pain about everything that was happening in Minneapolis, and just talking about really needing to feel joy and needing to feel faith, right? And so coming off of this whole virus business, it feels like the world is off its axis, is it not? Like it feels really like overwhelming at times. And so I got that. And so we talked about that. And then he said, how are you? And I said, oh, I just came back from a weekend in nature in Wisconsin, and it was so great. And then I said something which I was shocked. Now reflecting on it, I wouldn't normally say it, no, not to anyone probably, or even to him. And what I said was, it was actually really great. Even I was surprised that the very white, conservative rural town that I rented a place at was so receptive to me and my friend. And so walking through the town, and especially even my shock at white men who were so friendly and so welcoming. And I realized that has not been my experience in life. And so I just said that to him in passing, and just saying, oh, that was such a great feeling to like be at peace and feel welcomed, and especially by people who I've always not necessarily felt welcome by. And so he said to me, I wouldn't have thought that you felt that way. And so we kind of just passed through the conversation and started dealing with other things. But I hung up, and I just was really in this moment of like, wow, something powerful just happened. And I remembered a time when I was 8 years old, and I felt that we had gone to a restaurant, my family and I, and we were shunned at the restaurant. And I've had this reoccurring thing for years. And I kept saying I was going to ask my mom because part of me believed that I had made this up somehow or was a movie or something. I really never was sure. And I realized part of me never wanted to know if I was sure because I never asked her. So right after I got off the phone with him, I called my mom and I said, I had this reoccurring feeling that this situation happened. Did it happen when we were going? I assumed it was when we were going south to Texas one time. And she said, oh yeah, that happened, but it wasn't going south. It was, we were going right over to Michigan. We went to a restaurant and it was an all white restaurant and they didn't want to serve us. And all the people from the town were just staring at us very uncomfortably. So your father and I decided that we needed to leave. And so then all the memory came back of me holding my mom's hand, walking to the car and feeling this intense fear as a child of, I was about 8, and looking back and seeing the townspeople at the door just staring at us and making sure that we left and just giving us those dirty looks. And that was the first time that I actually realized that being different really was not a good thing. And the first time that I felt fear over who I was and what I looked like. I only shared the story. I posted about it in Facebook, and just talking about the stories that I have, that all of us have, that people of color have, about living in this country. And so I say that not to, again, evoke any kind of somebody needing to do something or somebody needing to feel bad about it or anything like that. I bring this up to say exactly what Reverend Kurt's talking about, is that it's in these moments of just listening, of sitting with the feelings, that the magic happens, the beauty happens, and that when we sit in our truth, we allow other people then to speak their truth. And so I was shocked when I posted on Facebook. Oftentimes, yeah, we post, especially for, we want to promote Unity North Shore. We want to promote our services. We want to promote ourselves. But I posted that really for me. And I was just shocked at how many people responded and kind of started telling their own stories as well. And so it's just, for me, it's an important place for us to begin with just sitting with our feelings about where we're at in all of this, and knowing, that, as Megan's song said, those tears of joy, those tears or that joy that you feel is about sparking that unknowingly, things that are knowingly stalled. So it's about moving energetically to a new place, to a new and creative place where we can really, really transform those feelings into this new, amazing, bold, glorious vision. So I want to offer just three things that I think we can do this week. And so it's feel, pray, and act. Not eat, pray, love, y'all. It's feel, pray, and act. So the first one, as we've been talking, is just feel. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. Are you feeling, sadness? Are you feeling guilt? Are you feeling dismayed? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, and maybe talk with someone about that, whether it's a professional or a friend or prayer or talking to, I don't know, whatever that feels like for you. But just allowing yourself to really, to cry if you need to cry, to air box if you need to air box. I mean, whatever that is, to kind of really move you through that. Allow yourself to feel. And the second is to pray. I mean, we are prayer people as Unity, we are essential light workers as Unity folks, New Thought folks. So pray. And I encourage everyone to pray with someone. So if you don't have a prayer partner, maybe get yourself a prayer partner, even if it's temporary, and pray with somebody, maybe just once a week for the next month, and pray about what's happening in the world, and see and speak together a new vision of the world. And so you can do that. I'll share also, on Facebook, we did an ancestral clearing a number of months ago. Maybe do that with folks, where you're repeating this kind of clearing out of all these energetic patterns that we still carry with us, that are still reverberating in the world as racism, as other forms of toxicity. And so that can have power too. So pray together. Praying alone is great, but I encourage folks to pray together. And the last thing is about acting. It's sort of what Megan was saying. One of my favorite things she said is feet to faith. I love that phrase. I've always used it. And it's about doing something. But doing something means a lot of different things. What is your spirit calling you to do? It's not necessarily going out into the street and protesting. If that's your jam, great, go do it. But that's not necessarily what we're all called to do. One of the first things that we can do is tithe. Tithe your time, talent, and treasure. So maybe you donate to causes. Maybe you donate to some of the grassroots organizations that are doing some of this healing work. I certainly can provide some suggestions for folks if you're interested. Or your talent to organizations, what have you. Something simple in terms of acting is reaching out to people who might be suffering right now and might be feeling the reverberations of all of this, whether it's your African American friends or your Black Latino friends or just people of color or even police officers. I have friends that are police officers that are some of the most amazing, beautiful human beings on this planet, and they too are suffering because they're in this whole light, they're in this whole systemic situation that they're also taking the pain and the hurt of this as well. So we're reaching out, reach out to people who, and don't ask them necessarily what they need, because right now when you're in that, it's like that's even too much to do. To if you want somebody, you're asking you. So do something, send them flowers, bake them a cake, I don't know, whatever spirit calls you to do, but let them know that you love them and let them know that you have their back. And the last thing I'll say is in terms of as acting is educate. Let's educate ourselves. If you don't know things about white privilege, if you don't know things about being in trauma as a person of color, whatever, educate yourself. We've got the beauty of the internet that can give you all sorts of resources. And I'll help by providing some resources on our Unity North Shore Facebook group so that we can educate ourselves and understand what's happening and just really understand all these structural patterns, all these energetic patterns that are colliding at this time. So all of this is to say is like we are speaking up and speaking out. That is important, but it's going to look different for everyone. But it is important that we put our feet to our faith with whatever that means. And so all of these things are those small moments, right? They're the small moments where the profound change happens, where the beauty happens. So let's make that happen, y'all. Let's make that happen in our lives every day this week in whatever small and beautiful way that we can, so that we are transforming our pain. We're not allowing ourselves to be stuck in this pain. We are transforming it for a new tomorrow. We are transforming for a vision where we are co-creating a world that is truly working for all. So let's do it this week, you all. Amen, and so it is.
Thanks, Christina. Oh my gosh, I've got so many ideas myself. I'm going to give two more. So Ann Baker has put in the chat stream, for those of you who may not have the chat stream on, that those of you in Evanston at Church and Ridge at 1:30, there's going to be a rally today. She says, wear a mask, and it'll start at Church and Ridge, and it's ending up at ETHS, Evanston High School. So if it's a beautiful day out, if you want to get out and just have an outlet to be able to begin to express, suggest that. The other one, this is kind of an out-of-the-box one, but Hulu has this amazing new series called Little Fires Everywhere right now that really delves in to the ways in which bias and racism are just kind of baked into how we show up with each other. Google it, find out more about it. It's an amazing series based on a book by the same name, Little Fires Everywhere. Okay, that's enough. I think we've given plenty, huh? Okay, this is the time in our service when we receive our tithes and our offerings, or invite you to give. I know that in this time of sequestering, things are uncertain and scary, and that's a time when sometimes we feel like we're going to contract. And what I would suggest is that we know in truth that that's exactly the time when we should be most expansive. So I would invite you to consider that by sharing some of your financial good and helping to support Unity on the North Shore, or your own spiritual center, wherever you might, if you're joining us here from another church, they're in the same boat all churches are right now. We've still got all the expenses of keeping up the infrastructure, and at the same time, we're trying to make sure that we're creating and continuing to maintain community in this virtual world. So if you can help us with that, please give generously. On the screen right now, you'll see you can text to give. It's a simple phone number, 815-827-6052. The first time you call that number, you'll be asked to enter some information, credit card information. And from then on, it's a really easy, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 steps, 2 or 3 clicks on your phone, and you can give in that way. Also, you can give by check. You can send a check to 3434 Central Street in Evanston, Illinois, or on our website, www.unityns.org. The slides might be a little bit messed up with those, but I'm sure we can get those addresses in the chat stream if you need them. So that's it. Your generosity continues to empower us to create this kind of ministry that provides comfort and support. And so we bless you. We thank you for what you can give. We thank you for your presence here today. That also is a form of energy. So God bless. And if you'll join me in speaking together our offertory prayer, that would be delightful. Not sure if we've got that slide, so I'll walk you through. You know, we'll do it as a call and response. Divine love as me. Together.
Divine love as me.
Blesses and multiplies.
Blesses and multiply.
All that I am.
All that I am.
All that I have.
All that I have.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
Amen. And thank you, Deb, for standing in for all of us. You sound great. Good to hear you. God bless. Megan, take it away.
This has been one of the most joyful, heartfelt, wonderful days I've spent on a Sunday morning. Thank you. Thank you, Christina, Reverend Christina. Thank you, everybody, all my family at Unity on the North Shore. Wow, this closing song is, oh no, this is, I'm catching up here. Okay. This is a song written by my dear friend Janice Stanfield, who also co-wrote Amazing Things. And this is a question we can ask ourselves every day. What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed with the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dreamed? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like a mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where true believers dare to tread, and I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I voice of fear? Would the voice of courage whisper in my ear? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where true believers dare to tread, and I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? If I were brave, if I were brave, we are brave. Thank you.
Oh, indeed, we are now, Megan. Thank you for giving us courage. Thank you, Megan, for being here. She's giving voice lessons and songwriting lessons. If you're interested, check out her website, megan.com. I'm going to make these brief because I know we're running over a little bit. So check out our YouTube page, like it and subscribe to it. Services are available there. Our Facebook page, Unity on the North Shore. Like us, follow us, and there's also a Facebook group where you can go a little bit more deeply, and there are people commenting back and forth, like Christina mentioned, telling her story there. It's a place that we can share stories so that we can continue that, to be that brave and faithful energy as we move forward in our weeks. Wonderful source of support. Thank you.
In Soul School online today, we had a wonderful lessons in our K through 8 class. We started our series on God with what or who is God. And so we talked about our own perceptions of what God is, how we imagine God to be, and how God plays out in our lives. And then we created our own creative images of what God is. Some wonderful, beautiful artworks. And then we thank Evan Lindner for leading our YOU class today. He did a wonderful facilitation of Manoush Zaharodi's TED Talk called How Boredom Can Lead You to Your Most Brilliant Ideas. Right? Think about it. Turning off all the external, all the phones, all the feeds, and just letting yourself be. And that's, of course, when we know that divine ideas download the best. So now we have a very special treat that Martin's going to play for us. This was a special Schools Out video created by our own Sammy Blix.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things.
And Sammy, I know there was music. There was jamming music under that video that we didn't get a chance to play, but thank you, Megan, for supplying us with amazing things, because we know all of our students are going to do amazing things. So now let's have our blessing, shall we?
Yes.
Fantastic. And Sammy, also, we want you to know that we know today is your birthday. So we are blessing you on your 12th birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Happy joy. So now let's join in our youth blessing. We say, children and teens, we love you.
Love you.
We
We
bless you.
bless you.
We
We
appreciate you.
appreciate you.
We
We
behold the
behold the
Christ
Christ
as you,
as you.
and we see you doing great things. We love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
All right, thanks, Kate, and thanks for that wonderful video. Maybe we can post that in the Unity North Shore group because I would love to hear the jam and music.
That's absolute. We'll do it.
So thanks for all for being here today. It was a wonderful service as always. We're so grateful for your prayer energy, just your beautiful energy here today that we collectively create. So I'm going to remind everyone that there are other prayer opportunities. If you're still, needing a little bit of something, a little bit more boost, we have several options for you in terms of prayer. We've got our prayer support line that you can call. That'll be in the chat box. We also have online prayer support that you can do through our website. And then, of course, we do have Unity, Silent Unity that you can call or even email. They have even an app now that you can request prayer. So please, if you need prayer, make sure that you use those resources. Prayer will change things. We're going to have our virtual garden chat. So stay on just a couple more minutes till we end so that we can just stay on and connect with each other. And next week, we start our new June series, which is going to be really, really cool. So make sure you invite your friends, send out the links, post it on your social media channels, and let everybody know that we are rocking and rolling here at Unity North Shore, and we want them present. So that's it. And I'm going to turn it over to Megan to have the peace song and prayer protection, and then we'll be out.
Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, Reverend Kurt, and everyone at Unity on the North Shore. May we all sing this together. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Now let us join together in saying the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God holds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. Happy Sunday, everyone.